Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to take you through a sequence that I find to be really beneficial for your hips. And because your hips move in all three planes, there's a lot of variability in the direction that we can take them. So I'm going to hopefully guide you through a lot of different movements to get a full encompassing sort of practice for your hips. Let's start off with warming up our hips in their full range through some controlled articular rotations. The first one we're going to do is within your tabletop. I like to personally take a block onto my low back, and to use that block as a little bit of tactile feedback to make sure that no other part within my pelvis or the low back begins to move with my hip. Taking a big inhale in this position. As you exhale, you're going to hug your right knee deep into your chest. And then from there, without anything else moving, inhale, you're going to take that right knee out towards the side. Right about at 3 o'clock, you're going to try to keep the knee there and then pivot your foot a little higher than the knee. And then from that, you're going to slowly circle your shin and thigh up and back to 6. Now, without the belly dropping down towards the floor, a slow, strong kick up towards the ceiling at 6, and then you're going to hug the knee back in. Reversing and going the opposite way, we're going to kick the foot straight up and back towards 6 without the belly dropping to the ground. From there, you're going to pull the knee back over towards 3 o'clock. Bring it as far forward as you can without any other neighboring joint contributing to that, and then we're going to let the thigh drop back in towards your midline. One more round in both directions, exhaling to hug your right knee into the chest. And then take an inhale, you're going to bring that right knee out towards 3 o'clock. Hold the knee there, you're going to pivot your foot a little higher than the knee. We're then going to circle that shin and thigh up and back to 6. A slow, strong kick up towards the ceiling at 6. Hugging the leg back in, reversing and going the opposite way, kicking foot straight up and back. Keep the belly firm as you slowly draw that knee back out towards 3. Bring it as far forward as you can, and then allow the thigh to drop back in towards your midline, and then allow your right knee to softly land back down on the floor. Opposite side here, and if it feels like your block is going to fall off, you might recenter it on your back. Elbows nice and straight, hands pushing down into the ground. Big inhale. As you exhale, we're going to hug the left knee into the chest. Take an inhale, we're going to bring that left knee out towards 9. Hold it there without the elbows bending. You're going to try to lift that foot a little higher than the knee. Circle that shin and thigh up and back to 6. A strong, slow kick up towards the ceiling at 6. Hug the knee back into the chest. Reverse and go the opposite way. Kick that foot straight up and back. And then allow the knee to travel back out towards 9 o'clock. Bring it as far forward as you can. You'll then allow the thigh to drop back in towards your midline. One more round, hugging the knee into the chest. Slowly bringing that knee out towards 9 o'clock, lifting up as high as you can without the block turning open to the opposite side. Pivot your foot a little higher and then circle that shin and thigh up and back to 6. A strong kick up towards the ceiling at 6, hugging the knee back in, and then reversing and going the opposite way. Kick your foot straight up and back. Slowly draw the knee out towards 9 o'clock, bring it as far forward as you can, and then we're going to allow the thigh to drop back in towards your midline. Okay, now taking the block, placing it off to the side. Let's warm up the hamstrings a little bit here. I'm going to ask that you step your right foot to the outside of the right hand. Both hands on the ground here. You can play around with the distance between front foot and back knee, maybe a longer stance, maybe a shorter stance. Just take an inhale, allow your chest to shift forward, head and eyes turning up. And then as you exhale, begin to pull the hips back, straightening the right leg as best as you can. And if you can't straighten it too well, you might take some blocks underneath your hands. 2 more rounds of that. Inhale, shifting forward, head and eyes turning up. And then as you exhale, begin to pull the hips back. 1 more round of that. Inhale, shifting forward, head and eyes up. Exhale, begin to pull the hips back. Okay, now we'll take an inhale, shift back forward. Coming into lizard pose, you might keep your hands right underneath the chest. You might start to walk your arms a little further forward should you have the availability. What we're trying to do is to sink our chest low to the ground. And so to do that even more effectively, if the option is there, you might drop your forearms down to the mat. Allow your chest to sink low to the floor. Take a few slow breaths. You might find from your deeper breathing that the body begins to relax, sinking down even more. Now, working with an active stretching technique within lizard pose, what we're going to be doing is pushing our front foot down and then attempting to lift it up, even though it won't be actually moving up. But the effort is what's important there. As we push down and pull up, you're going to notice that the torso is inclined to change in elevation. You want to keep your torso as heavy as you can at all times, allowing it to melt down towards the floor. We're going to start in this active technique fairly gentle, taking a big inhale softly as you begin. Exhale, pushing that front foot down into your mat. And you're going to slowly increase that effort more and more over time. And eventually finding your safest, greatest effort. Big inhale. 0 to 100 right away as you exhale. Now you're going to try to lift your front foot off the floor. Front foot and the right side of your rib cage are pulling themselves closer together. So you're attempting to pull yourself deeper into the stretch. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, relax. Try to allow your chest to melt again as close to the floor as it's willing. All right, one more round of that active technique, keeping your upper body as low to the floor as possible. Take an inhale, starting off gentle to begin. As you exhale, push that front foot down into your mat. And start to ramp that effort up more and more. And eventually finding your safest, greatest effort. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, reverse that effort. 0 to 100 right away. You're trying to lift the front foot off the ground. The front foot and the right side of your rib cage are trying to pull themselves as close together as they can. Always searching for a little more if you can find it. Take a big inhale. Exhale, relax. Bring your hands out in front of you. Inhale, we're going to lift up. And as you exhale, we're going to step back to downward facing dog. Just notice the difference between the left side of your body and the right. And we'll work to balance that out here. So taking an inhale, we're going to step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. As you exhale, bringing your right knee to the ground, just warming up the hamstrings a bit. Inhale, shifting your chest forward, head and eyes turning up. As you exhale, begin to pull your hips back, straightening the left leg as best as you can. Inhale, again, shifting forward, head and eyes up. Exhale, begin to pull the hips back, straightening. Last round here, big inhale, shifting forward, eyes up. Exhale, begin to pull the hips back. As you inhale, we're going to shift back forward, sinking into your version of lizard pose. Exhaling to drop your chest low to the floor. Again, using some blocks underneath the forearms should you need a little more support. Allow your chest to melt down as low as it's willing. Breathe as slowly and as deeply as you can. So, keeping your upper body as low to the floor as we can. Take a big inhale. Starting off light, as you exhale, drive your left foot down into the floor. And start to increase that effort slowly, more and more. And eventually you're finding your safest, greatest effort. Take a big inhale. 0 to 100 right away. As you exhale, now try to lift that front foot off the floor. Try to pull the left side of your rib cage and your left foot closer together. Deep breath. Exhale, relax. The chest might be willing to sink a little bit lower. Experiment with that. Coming back to your breathing. Inhaling till full. And exhaling till empty. All right, one more round of that active technique. So starting off gentle to begin. Big inhale. As you exhale, softly pushing your front foot down into your mat. And we'll slowly increase that effort more and more. And eventually finding your safest, greatest effort. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, reverse that effort. Your front foot's trying to lift off the ground. Left side of the rib cage and your left foot are pulling themselves as close together as they can. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, relax. Walking your hands up to the top of your mat, inhaling to lift your chest. As you exhale, we'll again push back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're then going to move into pigeon pose, starting with the right side. Taking an inhale, we'll step the right foot forward between your hands, and then bringing your left knee down. And then we're going to take that right foot over to the left side of your mat. Carefully dropping your front knee down to the floor. Now for me, two things I find lend to a deeper stretch in pigeon pose. The first one is with your pelvis more or less square to the top of your mat. And then also, the more that you're able to square your front shin with the top of the mat, the deeper the stretch typically is going to be. Might be a little bit different for you, so you can always play around a little bit and find your greatest line of tension. Once you find your greatest line without the knee itself talking to you, begin to fold out and down over your front leg. And just like we did in lizard pose, allowing the body to soften in the posture. Breathing a little bit deeper. Okay, so a very similar technique to what we worked with in lizard pose. I'd like you to take a big inhale, and as you exhale, the front shin is going to begin to gently push down into your mat. And you can scale that effort up more and more. Eventually finding your safest, greatest effort. Taking a big inhale. As you exhale, reverse that effort. Now you're trying to lift your front shin off the floor. Because you're in such a deep fold, it's not going anywhere, but the effort is important here. So just find those hip flexors. Try to find a little more effort if you can. Deep breath. Exhale, now relaxing. Now there's a good chance that your body's willing to go maybe just a little bit deeper into this position. Should you want to experiment with that, lift your head and chest for a moment. Either your front foot wiggles maybe another inch or two forward, or you can lift your front knee and your pelvis and bring them maybe another inch or two back. Again, the goal here is allowing your front shin to become a little more parallel with the top edge of that mat. Once you have that new position, begin to fold out and down over the front leg. All right, and one more round of that active technique. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, gently pushing your front shin down into the floor. And eventually finding your safest, greatest effort. Taking a big inhale. As you exhale, now trying to lift that front leg off the floor, pulling it into the belly of your chest. Hold that as you exhale, and then we'll relax on the inhale, rising up, bringing your hands to the front of your mat. We'll step back to downward facing dog. And again, checking out difference between left and right side. We can balance that out. Taking an inhale to step your left foot between the hands. Back knee carefully comes to the ground. Then we'll bring that left foot over to the right side of our mat. As you carefully drop your front knee, allow the pelvis to melt down towards the floor. You might have to wiggle your back leg a little further behind you. And again, searching for your greatest line of tension. Squaring the pelvis if that lends to a deeper stretch. Maybe wiggling this left foot another inch or so forward if the knee isn't talking to you. Once you find that greatest line of tension, very carefully folding out and down over the front leg. Now, should you find that this foot is slipping a little bit here, you might take one of your hands to this front foot so that the heel is not able to slowly creep back behind the upper body. Breathing slow, breathing deep. All right. So beginning this active portion, take a big inhale. As you exhale, gently pushing front leg down into the floor. And you're going to start to scale that effort up. And eventually finding safest and greatest. Big inhale. As you exhale, now try to lift that front leg off the floor, pulling it into the belly and chest. Hold that as you exhale, and then relax as you inhale, rising up, seeing if the body's willing to go a little bit deeper. You could wiggle the foot maybe a little further forward, or you could pull the knee and the pelvis maybe a little further back. Again, more or less a squared pelvis here. If you find that that lends to a deeper stretch, carefully falling out and down over your front leg one more time. Starting with this active portion, take a big inhale, gently pushing front leg down into the floor as you exhale. Increasing your effort. And eventually finding safest and greatest. Big inhale. Exhale, reverse that effort. Now you're trying to pull the front leg off the floor, pulling it deeper into the belly and chest. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, we'll relax. Let's move up onto the hands. Taking an inhale, and as you exhale, we'll push back to downward facing dog. Okay, so from down dog now, look forward past your hands. You're going to carefully walk the legs in between the arms, bringing your seat down to the floor. Okay, so now a little training in active range of motion, both with internal rotation and external rotation of your hips. Have one of your blocks handy. And then you're going to come down onto your backside, lying down on the floor. So I'm actually going to turn the camera here just so that you're able to see. You don't need to do this with me, but just so you can get a good profile here. You're going to take your block and place it on the medium setting on the inside of your knees. And then once you have this position, arms are going to be out wherever they feel supportive for you by your sides. Lifting your feet off the floor, I'd like you to give a good squeeze into that block with both of your legs. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale now, I want you to try to pull your feet as far as you can away from one another. Always searching for a little bit more with this. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, relax. Drop your feet down, removing that block. You might windshield wiper knees side to side. Okay, 2 more rounds of that. So blocking between knees, give a good squeeze to the block with your feet lifted off the floor. Take a big inhale. Exhale, pull your feet with as much effort as you can find away from one another. Big inhale. Exhale, drop your feet down, remove your block, windshield wiper knees side to side. Last round here. Taking block in between your knees. This time we're going to get a little stronger in our arms. So contract your hands, make fists. Contract your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders pushing down into the floor. Upper body nice and engaged. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, pull your feet as far as you can away from one another. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, relax. Drop your feet down, remove that block, windshield wiper knees side to side. It'll be probably easier to see this from the side, so I'm going to turn around here, 90 degrees. Now that was a good challenge for internal rotation. Now let's challenge our external rotation. So I'm going to bring my right ankle across my left knee for a figure 4. And then threading the needle with my arms, I'm going to hug my left knee into the chest. You might hold on to the shin, you might hold on to the hamstring. If this isn't accessible for you, maybe taking a strap around that left leg so that you're able to hug the leg into the body. Now, what we're going to be working with here is using this passive range of motion and then trying to turn this into an active range of motion. Right now, my left leg is acting upon my right leg to create this shape. I want my right leg to be able to create this shape without anything else pushing into it. So, what we're going to try to do is find out how far can we go passively into this figure 4, and then I want you to try to pull the right foot into the chest. And then as you hold here, or as you try to stay here as best as you can, the arms are going to get relaxed. You're going to drop them down to the ground, and then your left leg is going to start to relax. And you're going to carefully, slowly drop that left leg down to the ground. Try to maintain the figure 4 shape in your right leg as best as you can. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, figure 4 once again. See if you can hug in a little bit closer. Now we'll use the arms, we'll use the left leg to initially assist us here. Start to get active in that right leg to where you're pulling the right leg into the body. The right leg is again going to try to stay in this shape as your arms get a little bit lighter. The right leg is going to try to stay in this shape as you slowly relax that left leg down to the ground, pulling the right leg in as close as possible. Big inhale. One more time as you exhale, figure 4. Pull the left leg into the body. Now the right leg is going to start to pull in. Do not let go of that effort. Try to keep the right leg in this shape as the arms relax. Try to keep the right leg in this shape as your left leg detaches, slowly dropping that down to the ground. Big inhale. Exhale, relax. Let's drop that right foot down. Feel free to windshield wiper both knees side to side. Okay. And then bringing your left ankle across the right knee. Same thing on the other side. We're going to use the arms, hugging the right knee into the chest. Okay, so once you find out how deep you can go into this figure 4 position, the goal is to keep the left leg in this shape. As those other forces begin to relax, you're first going to drop the arms down. Keeping your left leg pulling into the body, you're going to slowly detach the right leg. Drop the right leg down to the floor. Big inhale. Exhale, let's come back into that figure 4. See if you can hug in a little bit closer. Now your left leg is going to get active again. It's right away, pulling into the body. Do not let go of that effort as your arms start to relax. Keep the left leg in this shape, pulling in as your right leg slowly detaches, dropping your right leg down to the floor. Big inhale. Exhale one more time. Hug the leg into the body as best as you can. You might notice that you're getting a little more range each time you work with that active technique. So now allow the left leg to pull into the body, staying in the figure 4 shape as best as it can as your arms begin to relax. Keep your left leg in this exact position as best as you can as that right leg slowly relaxes. Drop it down. Taking a big inhale. Exhale, relax. Drop both feet down to the floor. Windshield wiper knees side to side. All right. Let's hug the knees into the chest. And rocking forward and back, eventually making your way to a comfortable seat.
So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope these proved to be some challenges for your hips. Repetition's always key. Mine have definitely improved over time. It was really a big mess when I first started with this, but they're getting better, and I hope you feel the same as well. Thanks so much for joining me.